Y'all, I'm so excited for this video. I've been waiting to film this video ever since I got back from my travels, and the day is finally here, okay? So, for those of you who don't know, and you probably shouldn't know anyway, because I don't really share these sort of details, like I'm not a travel vlogger, a travel channel, but, you know, just to make the record straight, right, I spent 10 days in Italy with TJ. It was my first time going, went to a few regions. It was absolutely stunning, beautiful, wonderful. We just got back a few days ago, and while I was there, because I'm a coffee fanatic, if you couldn't already tell by my channel, I not only tried a variety of different types of coffee at different coffee shops, etc., which I filmed, and I'm hoping to kind of premiere at some point on my channel. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how great the footage is. I got sick towards the latter part of the trip, so I didn't get to film all the coffee that I tried. So we'll see. We'll see how that video pans out. I'll be looking through the footage. But if this gets released first, you at least know I went to Italy and I bought some things, right? So I tried a bunch of different things in Italy, and then I also decided to go out and buy a few different things that would be compatible for my machine that I was trying to keep an eye out of. So what did I buy? I ended up getting some Nespresso compostable paper-based capsules, which I was so excited about, and I haven't seen these things in the US yet. And they even asked me, like, have they been released in the US? And I'm like, not to my knowledge, girl. So I'm really excited to try those, and all of the pods that I'm going to be talking about today are original and compatible. That is like the main Nespresso gadget that they have there, I believe. So most people that have an Nespresso machine will have an Original machine, I assume, over there from what it looks like. They did have Vertuo capsules as well, but I just don't think that's a very widely used machine for one reason or another over there. I don't really know the reason why. But with all that being said, they did have a few different paper compostable options. They have this Amelia one, which we're going to be trying today. We're also going to be trying this one today, the Aosta one. I don't really know how to pronounce that, and I don't want to butcher it. And then they also have the Sicilia one, which I've never heard of before. I think they also had a compostable version of the Peru pod. I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to spend additional money on trying some of these pods in the case I didn't like them. And also, you know, I am moving, like I mentioned, so I'm trying to at least downsize a lot of the stuff, so I didn't want too many things that I wouldn't be able to get through in my move to have to take up more space. But aside from the paper compostable pods, I also got a couple of different third-party pods that I haven't seen available here in the US, which I was really excited for when I saw these in a little like grocery shop that we did. So we have the single origin Sumatra pod from Starbucks. We have the single origin Guatemala, which I'm really excited for and have not seen at all. And then we also have the Italian style roast, the Caffe Verona. And this is a little bit off-brand for me. I do really like matcha. I just have never, honestly, I've never seen it in like a pod form before. I didn't think that they would have it in an original line pod format. So I thought to myself, you know, let's get more into matcha. I do really like matcha. I just don't really find myself making it at home that much. But I thought to myself, this could be a fun little thing to try on the channel. So I don't know when I'm going to try these Starbucks third-party ones, probably in the following video that I post. But today we are going to do the paper compostable pod just because I'm the most excited for those. And I want to see how they feel and look. They seem pretty soft in the package, of course, because, you know, they're made out of plant-based materials and paper-based materials. So I say we get into it and find out how to brew these things. Now, as we're trying each of these pods, I did want to go into a little bit of the flavor profile first, like I always do. So the first one we're going to be trying, which I'm really excited about, is the Aosta pod, and I'm excited to try it because it's a light roasted pod, and you guys know I love my blonde roasted espresso. So all of these are from the Ispirazione line, and this one specifically, it looks like is a blend of South American washed Arabicas, and it's supposed to have a nutty and sweet cereal note flavor. And then it's an intensity 5 out of 13. So it is the lightest roasted out of all of the other ones that we're going to be trying today. So I'll be honest with you, I haven't opened these packages, and let's see what's inside. It smells so good. It literally smells like crap, guys. But anyway, so here is the inside of the bag. I don't want to drop any pods. Hopefully you guys were able to see that. But if you didn't, here is what the pod looks like. So there's 10 in each, much like our regular sleeves come in. But it has the little Nespresso logo and is very plain packaging. It's going to be like a paperless, fibrous material, almost like, it kind of feels like when you put your cup in a cup holder, those little cup holders that you get from like fast food restaurants. that is what the material of this feels like. And it's really cool. And it feels really sturdy. Like it feels a little bit soft, but also sturdy. And then it looks like it has this paper film on top of it to kind of keep all the grounds inside. So this is very interesting. And it looks like it's just, again, instead of being recycled, it's supposed to be able to be broken down a little bit easier, so we're not reliant on the recycling. So that's awesome. I say we give it a smell and a taste. Okay guys, we have a wonderful shot of espresso here. Obviously, the espresso came out. It wasn't that bad of a brew. The only weird thing I noticed was that there was some water flowing out at first. I don't know if the camera caught that while it was brewing. But other than that, obviously we have a wonderful shot of espresso. I did notice the crema is really nice. I think it has something to do with maybe how fresh the coffee is, at least on the packaging. I mean, I can't give a typical timeline for the aluminum capsules, but on this packaging, it says that it was produced in April 24th of this past year, and then it's going to expire October 24th of this year. So might be a little bit less of a shelf life than the aluminum capsules. I don't think there was much of a price difference for the paper capsules versus the aluminum ones when I was over there anyway. I don't know if they roll it out, how much of a difference it'll end up being. I'll put the 2 price points that I saw and remember up on the screen. I know when I was getting or thinking about getting aluminum capsules, they were going for like $4.99 over there. So definitely a little bit cheaper than what we pay over here in the US. Can't speak for the paper capsules, but I'll get back to you guys on that and put it up on the screen somewhere. But without further ado, I say we give it a smell and a taste. Wow, that smells like a nice honey and caramel. That's what that smells like. I know they were talking about it's supposed to smell kind of cereal. I guess I get a little bit of wheat, but I get a lot of caramel and honey. Y'all, this pod it's mellow, but it also has that classic ispirazione or like Ispirazone taste in the very beginning that's really acidic. I've tried a few of that line on this channel, and they all have that nice little zing, fruity taste in the beginning that like keeps you wanting more, but it's like very mellow as it goes down your palate. So I think it's very flexible. It's kind of fruity, kind of caramel, very mellow and light at the same time. And I think that it's very flexible. It can go with a whole lot of different coffee recipes, latte recipes. So I really like it. I think I'm gonna rate it an 8.5 out of 10. Of course, I'm not gonna fly to Italy to buy this like specific paper capsule again. It's really, really good. I don't know if it'll ever be available here in the US. I mean, I'm hoping at some point in time, but I know in the packaging it said Italy only. So obviously at least it's not available here right now. So with that being said, I will not be buying this again unless I can somehow get my hands on it. Either a friend ships it to me or whatever it may be. But this is gonna be a solid 8.5 out of 10. I do really like it. And I do think I will be using it quite often while I have it in all my nice little flexible summer drinkies over the next few months. So a quick note while I was preparing to try one of the other pods here. I was releasing the pod from the little chamber and it got stuck in there. I think this material, like obviously it's very soft now. And you can see like, you know, the needles went in, it's kind of like deformed now on the back. It's a little bit of a browner color. It's kind of like wet cardboard. Like obviously wet cardboard starts to like stick to things if it's like lodged into something. So yeah, and then you like peel off the little filter and you have, you know, little coffee grounds and stuff. But overall, I think it's pretty cool. It did get stuck, so I had to like take it out and dig it out, but fortunately coffee grounds didn't get everywhere or anything like that. But just be careful if you do ever find yourself getting these pods. You might have to do a little bit of work dislodging it, especially if you leave it in there like for a couple minutes, like while I was trying to review. The pod had obviously got super wet and started to get stuck. So probably best to just release it as soon as you brew the pod. But if you end up leaving it overnight by accident, just know you might have to do some digging, okay? Okay guys, moving on to our next one, we have the Amelia pod. That's our next level up at a level 7 out of 13 for intensity. And apparently they prefer it, or recommend it, I should say, as a ristretto or espresso, which we might try both. Let's get crazy with it. And apparently this pod is named after a region in Italy, which I did not know, and it's supposed to be home to a lot of gastronomic exports. This pod specifically is made out of Arabicas and Robustas from Mexico, Brazil, and beyond. A lot of, I guess, Central and South American coffee blends here, which is nice. It's supposed to be very complex, intense, rich, have woody notes, and it's supposed to be a little bit acidic as well. So this actually sounds like up my alley for the level of intensity that it is. Like if I had to get a certain pod with like a higher intensity, which this is, a 7 is not very high by any means, but I will say if I had to pick one that was a little bit more intense, I do like a little bit of a woody, a little bit more acidic kind of vibe. So I say we give it a little look-sees. It looks like nice little smell again. It looks like the only thing that really differs between these pods is that they engrave the name of each of the, you know, different pod names on the pods themselves. So none of the designs or anything differ. I say we give it a smell and a taste. So I brewed this first on the espresso setting. We'll try it again on the Ristretto setting. But the same thing happened again with the whole water situation. So if you're somebody who has these pods like regularly, like maybe you're watching from Italy or another country surrounding, please let me know. Is that like something that happens on your machine as well? Or is it just like mine, because my voltage is not as great or whatever it may be? But yeah, I say we give it a smell and a taste. Once again, a beautiful brew. I brewed it on the espresso setting this time, and we'll try it on the Ristretto one as well. But I did notice again that the thing with the water happened. So if you are watching this video and you have these pods, like maybe you are watching from Italy or another surrounding country, please let me know. Is that like just my machine, again, because of the voltage, or, you know, maybe it just differs on different types of machines. But let me know if you're experiencing the same thing. Well, let's give this a try. That is like a nice, earthy, woody smell. I'm excited for this. Definitely more intense than the one we just tried. However, I would argue that the Aosta pod is more acidic than this one, which is a little bit interesting to me. And honestly, like, I really like the woodiness of this pod and how complex it is. It's not too intense, which I really like as well. It goes down the palate very easily, probably because it doesn't have a lot of that acidity, but the Robustas kind of make it a little bit more complex, a little bit bitter, a little bit interesting. Gives it a little spunk, you know? So I think if you really like that nice jolt and pack a punch in your espresso when you're having like iced lattes and iced beverages especially, I think you'll really like this pod. And the intensity is like obviously with a 7, but I think it's very true to the intensity when I say that it's right in the middle. It's not too acidic, not too bitter. It's kind of mellow as it goes down your palate, so it's not like overbearing and you have to kind of like mask it if you're not too much of a coffee person or anything like that. I also think it's fairly pleasant on its own, like just drinking it like this. Like obviously I'm able to get through quite a bit of it without like wanting to die or anything like that. And it's not like Caffe or anything like that that's like, oh my god, just like super strong. It's hard to like stomach without putting maybe like some white mocha sauce or something in it. So I think this is a nice medium. I actually think I like this more than I like the Aosta pod, but very marginally. I think I'm going to rate this one a 9 out of 10 versus, again, the Aosta 8.5 out of 10, just because I do like the brightness and acidity of that one, but I kind of like that nice woody, the counterbalance of them, and I think I would use this a little bit more on the daily basis to kind of shine through in my summer beverages versus that one. Obviously, I had to try this in a Ristretto too because I find this pod very interesting, and I think that it's a little bit more nutty smelling than in an espresso form. Yeah. Y'all, this is so good. Like, it's so intense, but I'm kind of addicted to it. Like, it's really good. It has that nice acidity. It's very balanced. It also has like a little bit of nuttiness as well, at least when brewed like this. But also very woody, very intense. But still, like, it's just really like nice and flexible. It's like right down the middle. I think this one is a little bit more intense, obviously, but I like it in a ristretto form. I'm actually glad they recommended it this way. I prefer it in a ristretto form, and I think this is going to be perfect for like flat whites and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, this is really good. Yeah. Ooh. I think I usually don't like to change up the ratings. I think it definitely deserves a 9 out of 10. I would even bump this up to like a 9.3 if I'm being very specific. I actually prefer it like this, and will be having it like this mostly when I'm doing like my iced lattes and flat whites and all that fun stuff. But oh my gosh, it's really good. Yeah, it's just, maybe I'm just like a sucker for the intensity at this point. Like maybe it's that time in the summer where I'm starting to get into like really abrasive tastes, okay? But just for personal preference, I like, you know, usually I don't taste that much of a difference, and sometimes I don't even prefer the ristretto shots just because I don't really like the less coffee volume, and sometimes the acidity is too much for me. But I would argue that with the Robustus here, it's a little bit more bitter rather than acidic. So I really like it. That's just me. I'm gonna keep it at a 9 out of 10, but just know I prefer the ristretto shot form, if that's any indicator for y'all. Last, but certainly not least, we have the Cecilia pod, which is the highest intensity of the ones that I bought, which is an 8 out of 13. And it literally says in the description, packing a punch, this pod brings a delicious tapestry of aromas in a dark roast. It's boldly intense, and it's made out of Latin American Arabicas that bring dark chocolate and cereal notes. It's supposed to captivate people with its bitter notes, and it's supposed to be a nice, exquisite, short cup. And they do recommend it, much like they did with the Amelia pod in an espresso or as a ristretto. So I'm very excited to try this. I'm ready for a punch in the face. I'm ready for it. So I say we get opening. I don't think, this one smells maybe a little bit different, but just by the packaging, they don't really smell that different. Again, same type of pod, just has like a different engraving on it. Let's brew it. I don't know if I've ever said this, but I honestly feel so fancy drinking out of like cute little espresso cups like this. But as you can see, I brewed it on the espresso setting. Let's give it a smell and a taste. Honestly, this pod is not very aromatic. To me, it's very woody and very earthy, but let's give it a try. Wow. It's like, this one, it caught me off guard because I'm expecting like so much to hit me all at once, but it's like I can taste the dark chocolate, I can taste the cereal notes, kind of creamy, kind of malty, very mellow again, and not at all acidic. Like really, there is a little bit of a bitter tang to it, but again, probably the least acidic out of all the ones I've tried. And I actually really like this one as an espresso. Like it's basically like, I don't know, if a cookie could be an espresso, I think that this would probably be it. Like, it's very creamy, a little bit chocolatey, very mellow, kind of flexible with a bunch of different things. But like they said, and it's true, if you paired it with something like very chocolatey, like even a pastry, or if you wanted to add like some sort of chocolate sauce in like a mocha, I think this would complement it really well. Which I'm really shocked by, but I don't find it like super overbearingly intense. Like, I can see why they say it would pack a punch, but obviously like I can be pretty sensitive to how intense espresso can be, and I don't find this very like super like, you know, jabbing me in the face sort of packing a punch. So I really like it. I think that I'm gonna rate this the highest at a 9.5 out of 10. I actually really like this out of all of them, and this was the opposite rating that I thought I was going to give all of them. I thought the Aosta pod, the lightest roast, was going to be my favorite, but maybe as I'm getting older, I'm just like a sucker for dark roast. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm excited to try this in a ristretto form, so let's get started on that. In case anybody was curious or still wondering, I've been releasing the pod pretty immediately after the brew, and it hasn't been sticking at all, which is nice. So I would say that fixed the problem. So in case you ever do get these pods, just release it relatively soon after you brew it. But in other news, I did get a ristretto brew on this, and I would say like the smell on this is very smoky. It's not too far off. Like, I was trying to describe the smell, and instead of like earthy, I would describe it as more smoky now that I think about it. Yeah. Very, very smoky. So let's give it a try. Yeah, the Ristretto really enhanced the acidity of the pod. That's like, I can see why it's packing a punch now. Whew. It's still really good. Again, really acidic, packs that punch. Getting less of that, like it's very bitter dark chocolate if it is. Getting less of those cereal notes. I think that the creamiest way to have this espresso pod is on the espresso setting, if you can brew it multiple ways on your machine. So that's the way I prefer to have it. I think that if the espresso form was a 9.5 out of 10, I would rate this probably an 8.5 in the Ristretto form, bringing maybe its overall rating to a 9, take that as you will. I'm still going to keep it at 9.5 just because I really like the espresso form, but I think I definitely like the Ristretto form less in this pod than I did the Amelia pod. Yeah, it's very smoky, it's very acidic. Definitely getting like more bitter than like creamy chocolate cereal notes. So take that as you will. Maybe that's your personal preference, packing a punch in your coffee. But that is my rating of the Ristretto version. So definitely for me, I'm going to be doing the espresso version of my lattes, but personal preference. I don't know about you guys, but I think we did some damage. And I'll be honest, I was not expecting to like these pods. I just thought that they were like really cool looking, and I thought, when in Rome, right? Buy some Nespresso pods. I guess that's how the saying goes. But regardless, I am so excited that I got to try them with you guys today. It was such a treat. And if you do ever end up trying them, please let me know. I'd love to know your guys' review of these pods and any recipe recommendations or any general recipes that you guys would like me to try with these pods for the summer. I'm always looking out for new summer recipes and all that fun stuff. Unfortunately, the fun does not stop there with going through all of this coffee, because now we have a whole bunch of Starbucks sleeves to get through within the next few weeks. And so I'm going to separate that little review into 2 videos because we have quite a few sleeves. Probably going to review a couple sleeves at a time. So if you have a preference for which coffee sleeves you want me to go through first, I will put a list of the different Starbucks sleeves in the description below, and you can let me know if you want to try the Guatemala first, the Italian first, all that fun stuff. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys tuning in as always, and I will see you guys on the flip side for more coffee.